and gentlemen, hello there and welcome to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I am Mr. Warren Hayes and I am back this week on 12/12/2019, December 12, folks. I wasn't here last week. You want to hear a funny story? A couple of nights ago, last week, like last Tuesday, I decide that I want ice cream. Yes, it's December. I don't care. I like ice cream. I like my ice cream. So I serve myself a bowl of ice cream. What do I do with the ice cream? I leave it out on the counter and I don't realize it. I wake up the next morning, start to fix myself some breakfast, and I look over and I'm like, damn it, I left the ice cream out on the counter. So what do? Chat, I'm going to go right to you. Chat, what would you do if you let the ice cream out on the counter for an entire night? What would you guys and gals do? You've got basically two choices, right? One of them is the most sensible, correct? You would just go, screw this. You'd take it off the counter, you'd head over to your trash bin, and you just toss it in, right? That's what you do. That's exactly what you do. However, that's not what your boy Warren does. That's not what Warren does. Of course not. Warren, he decides to put it back in the freezer and save it for later. So then the next day he pulls out the ice cream and he eats some more without necessarily thinking that it's dairy. What happens the next day? He vomits his entire life up. That's what he does. Are we having volume issues, folks? Let me give this a listen here. Oh my God, are we ever? I'm going to fix this. The joys of doing stuff live. Give me a second here. I'll be silent. I'll be quiet here. Just give me a second. I'll talk like this in the meantime. How's everybody doing? There was a Windows update, right? There was a Windows update. And usually when the Windows updates happen, it screws around with my settings here. We'll fix this. Mm-hmm. There we go. We're getting there. Oh boy. Yeah, this will probably be a lot better, everyone. Hey, that's right. I should do an ASMR episode at some point. Wouldn't that be great? Do a nice little ASMR episode. Just talk wrestling. And then do a lot of this. Better, good, yes. Okay, I apologize for that. Okay, we'll be all right now. We'll be okay. All right. I apologize. That's what happens when there's Windows updates, and it's on me. Like I could go ahead and blame Windows for this, but I mean it's on your boy Warren here for not doing his due diligence and checking, going into the proper levels here. Oh, look at this. We have a new subscriber. I want to say welcome to Bad News Burke. Thank you for subscribing. For those of you who are watching here live on youtube.com, you just saw the new subscriber explosion arrive. And because we're doing this live, we do this live every Thursday evening, every Thursday evening, live right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, 9 p.m. Eastern. And we've got another stacked house of wonderful people who decided to tune in this week to take a chance, and see, is Warren feeling better? Is he still ill? Is he still sick? Well, not anymore. No. And we've got Tim Traver, who's here. CM Phil as well. Robert Larry, how you doing? Bad News Burke, of course, who just subscribed this evening. Ben Parise, how you doing, friend? Nick Wolf is here as well. And we have Daniel McCauley, who's here as well, who said you sound how only Lorcan tweets. Well, I know, probably. That could be my new gimmick, too. Zeus King is here as well. Aaron J's fan. Lots of friends of the show. Packed house. Thank you, everyone, for being here on the live recording of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. And if you're not listening to the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, watching it live, you're probably listening to it on your favorite podcast application. Available everywhere, just about everywhere. If it's not available somewhere, you reach out to me and you say, hey, Warren, I can't find you on my podcast app, and I'll fix it, man. I'll fix it like that. So you can check that out. And you know, whether you're watching here, okay, let's say you're watching live on YouTube right now. Give the video a thumbs up. That kind of stuff helps out. Share the link, put it out there. And even if you're not, even if you're watching this on your own time, that's fantastic. And if you're listening on your podcast applications, give us some love there. A follow, a subscription, a review. Reviews help. A like, a heart, whatever, favorites. That kind of stuff helps out. It helps out tons. So that would be fantastic if you did decide to do so. That would be amazing. And we're going to be doing this. We do this every week, and as long as I don't eat spoiled ice cream. As long as we don't eat spoiled ice cream, we'll be absolutely fine. And you know, I see Ben talking about it in the chat. You know, you've probably heard what happened to the Fightful YouTube channel that just got pulled off of YouTube for no apparent reason. You know, I'm in a bit of the same predicament or situation, I should say. It's not a predicament, as Fightful, where I've decided to make YouTube my primary platform, where I try to do everything from here for a bunch of reasons. And one of the main reasons I do this is because it's so easy to interact with y'all, have a fun discussion, a fun back and forth. Because I remember a time when I used to do these shows like myself, just recording myself and then tossing them out there. It's a lot more fun to do this live with folks, and we can bounce off each other and be stupid and chat, and I enjoy this a lot more, and YouTube provides the simplicity to do this as well. So, so that being said, you know, there's also the situation where YouTube can just turn around and snap its fingers and Thanos us off the platform. If you don't mind, if you know, if you want to subscribe to the Mr. Warren Hayes show on other podcast applications, that's fantastic. That way you'll be sure that you never miss out on something, that if I do disappear, I don't have to start from nothing either, and that would be very much appreciated. So you know, hopefully the whole thing with Fightful will work out, because I do a lot of stuff there at Fightful as well. Tomorrow evening we're still going to do our SmackDown post show. That's for sure. That's going to be done after SmackDown, of course, on Friday. On Saturday, I'm doing an NWA Into the Fire post pay-per-view recap, and some ROH as well. But I'm mostly looking forward to NWA Power, talking about that as well. So I'm doing that on Saturday, and then Wednesdays with the Wednesday Night Wars podcast with Alex and Sean. I mean, I want Fightful to come back. I want stuff to settle up, and I really hope that Sean and Jimmy get everything back in order. I really hope YouTube fix their system, because I don't understand why they get pulled off like that. I really don't. It's a mystery. It's a mystery to me. So yeah, your support on all the platforms, wherever you can find me, is a big help. Another way to support, of course, is on Patreon, patreon.com/MrWarrenHayes. Right after this, we're going to be doing my usual Thursday night post stream just for patrons. Warren is off the clock, and we're going to be talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm going to be talking about the Wrestle Kingdom 14 card. I'm going to be running down my predictions. 2 nights of matches. There's a lot of stuff. A lot of great stuff, and there's great stuff to talk about as well. So hopefully you'll join me there. You just have to become a patron. A Power Pal level patron will get you access to it. And if you don't have all that money to shell out, well, you can become a friend of the show as well. There's a level there that just to show your support for the Mr. Warren Hayes show as well. So that's also very, very appreciated. Saturday, right here on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes, we're going to be doing a prediction show Saturday morning, 11 a.m., because we're having a WWE pay-per-view that weekend, TLC, and I will be joined by Patricia from the Those Wrestling Girls podcast, and I'm really excited to have Patricia on. It's going to be a good time running down the TLC card, her and I, Saturday morning. What a bet. Can you think of a better way to spend your Saturday morning? With loved ones? Overrated. Spend time with me and Patricia talking wrestling, talking WWE wrestling. We finally have a card. We actually have matches to sink our teeth into. I feel like it's building up to be something pretty interesting. We're going to be talking about it more on Saturday, so join us right here, youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, 11 a.m. Eastern, and then, of course, it will be available on podcast platforms. And then Sunday, pretty much the main event for me, if you want my humble opinion, we are going to be launching the very first... Well, you guys know by now my association with Bell to Bells, right? The premier site for women's wrestling coverage at BELLTOBELLES. I'm pretty sure at this point right now you guys are singing along with me. At Bell to Bells, this weekend we are launching our very first podcast show called In Ring Riot. It's going to be a goddamn women's wrestling podcast. I'm going to be hosting a panel, a congregation, a troupe of wonderful panelists, which will include Kristen Ashley of belltobells.com, fightful.com, and a whole slew of other places as well. She's going to be there, and as well on this panel, I guess, we're going to have Dan and Emily Reed of Pro Wrestling Eve, who are going to be joining us as well. And that's fantastic. Dan and Emily are the owners, promoters of Pro Wrestling Eve. Fantastic women's wrestling promotion based in the UK, but they have wrestlers from all over the world going there. Wrestling Queendom is coming up in January for them. And it's not a one-time thing. This is something that we want to do. All four of us together moving forward. It's going to be amazing. We're going to be talking about all sorts of stuff for a good hour, maybe an hour and a half, because Dan and I, we have a tendency to talk a hell of a lot. So I hope you guys check it out this Sunday. It will not be live, but it will be available on the Bell to Bells podcast channel, which you can find on your favorite podcast application. Like I said, BELLTOBELLES. Look for that on Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, Overcast. It's there. For sure you can find it there. Subscribe today so that you don't miss out. In Ring Riot, we're talking women's wrestling this Saturday. And I'm going to give one last plug, actually a shout out to our not usual friends. How are you a usual friend to anyone? It doesn't make sense. No, to our friends, Spies and Silky, Chris Spizak and Silky of the Spies and the Benchmark show. They are running their toy drive again this year. They did it last year. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago, but they're in the home stretch now. They are gathering toys, new toys, benefiting the Fort Bend Women's Center out there in Texas, women's shelter for women who obviously who are in need of a place to stay. And a lot of these women are fleeing whatever situations that they're in, along with their young children. And this is Spies and Silky do this. This is the second year they do it to offer some new toys to these kids, because a lot of them, they don't come from families with a lot of means, and just having a new toy, something that they can unwrap, and something brand new that belongs to them, it can feel just really special for the holidays and add maybe a little sunshine in a time where they really need all the glimmer and hope possible. So if you want to help out, the boys set up an Amazon wish list. Go to their Twitter page, Spies and the Benchmark, Spies Benchmark, excuse me, SPEEZBENCHMARK. Head over there, and their pinned tweet has all the information there. They're really, really in the last stretch of their toy drive. So if you can spare it, it would be fantastic. Spies and the Benchmark are great guys to do this. Take the time to do it. So please, 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 please do something. If you can do something, do it. 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 So there we go. want to say hello to, we have people joining in here. We have Kristen Ashley who jumped in here. Evangelina Cantu. She says, when is the podcast with Kristen coming? It's this Sunday. I think I already talked about it. I may be going too far back in the chat. And yes, you can subscribe right now. Just find it on your podcast application. Chris Jacobs is here as well. Am I missing anyone? I don't think so. Daniel McCauley. Did I say hello to Daniel? Yeah, I think I did. Yeah, Daniel. Consider yourself saluted twice. All right. Enough all this stuff. It's time for the weekly. Is it time? Yeah, it's time. It's time for the weekly wrestling inspection. One day, the transition will be super smooth, and everybody will be like, "Wow, Warren, you run a tight ship." Not supposed to this junk. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start talking about professional wrestling that happened over the course of the past week. We're giving out cool beans, we're giving out warm soda, and we're giving out hot trash. That's right. We're starting straight off the bat with some hot trash. And you know what? Because out of the 4 major wrestling shows that happened last week, Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, and NXT, 3 out of them started with segments, not wrestling matches, segments. And y'all know how much of a pet peeve that is for me to have wrestling segments start off a show. I had 3 of them. Only NXT. NXT was the only one to start with a match. And what a match. But it was the only one. Oh, but Warren, says some people on the internet somewhere. Dynamite started with Jon Moxley in a squash match. Come on, man. A 19-second match is not a match. You're going into semantics instead of content, instead of reality. It did not start with a match. It started with a quick squash that was just the catalyst for a segment, essentially. And I don't want to hear anything more about it. So that bugs me. And I've said it once, I'll say it a million times. I want my wrestling shows to start with wrestling. It's just that simple. However, if you are going to start with a segment, if you're insisting on doing it, well, you might as well start it like how SmackDown started it, with the exchange between The Miz and Bray Wyatt to set up their match at TLC this weekend. As much as I'm not a fan of segments, if you're going to do it, this is exactly the way to do it. It was short. It didn't take 15 to 20 minutes to get the point across. Plus, Bray Wyatt is so good at what he does, being this, on one hand, this wide-eyed, gleeful, but also subtly dark children's entertainer on one hand, and The Miz, who is, well, he can act. Maybe he's not the greatest actor, but he still has timing. He knows how to emote. He understands poise. They were able to play off each other fantastically. I really, really like the opening promo. I like the content in it. I like, again, that Bray Wyatt called back to having a family, and now he wants to be a part of Miz's family. I liked it. I thought it was a great segment to start off SmackDown. I mean, if you're going to do it, that's how you should do it. Next, we are going to move on into some warm soda this time. Oh, look at that. We hot trash, beans, and soda straight off the bat. Boom, boom, boom. We're on a roll. I'm going to give this to the Drake Maverick, Dana Brooke, Elias stuff, because I'm very I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure if I liked it. Not quite, but I definitely didn't dislike it, but I didn't quite like it either. And I like this. I like how they're transitioning Drake Maverick into this little slimy creep where he's hitting on girls despite the fact that he's married, that he's newly married, that he's been, he's been trying to get to consummate his marriage, right? Apparently he's never going to be able to. And I like the idea, it's kind of stupid at the same time because he's hitting on women while there's cameras around. So for sure his wife is at home, or at least is going to watch the show at some point, or at least one of her friends is going to watch the show and is going to call and is going to say, hey, Michelle, look what Drake is doing, So I like it, but it's also stupid that he's doing it, and because there's cameras everywhere. Anyway, he's sitting on Dana Brooke, and he's like, what does Batista have that I don't? Insert your own joke here. Insert your own wrestling memes here. And then Elias comes in to sort of stick up for Dana Brooke. And Batista, their budding online relationship, and he cuts a song on Drake where he's basically inferring that he had sex with his wife, although he shot it down at the end of the show as well. And then Drake goes to the ring and says that he doesn't accept that his wife be disrespected, and I kind of like that. It plays well into the slimy part. Where he, on one hand he doesn't mind, he thinks so little of his wife that he'll go and hit on other women, but then he'll publicly try to man up to sort of defend his wife, sort of protect her honor. It's kind of creepy. I like this kind of aspect that he has going. But then Elias comes down and he and Dana take him out. I don't know about babyface Elias. I really don't. I don't know. I like Elias as a heel. I hate his new theme. I absolutely dislike his new theme. Doesn't fit him. I mean, it wasn't bad. I just don't know what they're going. I just don't know what the end game here. Because here's the thing as well. Like, this is the second time, right, that Elias comes in sort of like to stick up for. To stick up for Dana and Dave, at some point Elias can only white knight so much before he expects some kind of recognition. Like, at some point, logically, Elias should be going to Dana and be like, Dana, I've been sticking up for you while Dave is busy making movies, kind of thing. Where's my dinner date? Where's my movie? Where's my Netflix and chill, Dana? I don't know. It's a little strange, but I'm not ready to bury it just yet. But oh my God, if 2019 is anything, folks, it is the year of the cuck angle, isn't it? Would you not agree? The cucks everywhere. A cuck over here, a cuck over there, cucks for you, cucks for me. Maybe not for me, thank you. But I swear, I'm convinced someone this year showed Vince McMahon that word, introduced that word to him on Twitter, and Vince is like, well, we gotta do some of these, pal. Daniel McCauley says 205 Live has questionable leadership, and Dave and Drake Maverick. They have had in a while, even when he was running after the 24/7 title and shirking his responsibilities. CM Phil says this all felt very out of character for Elias and Drake. Yeah, I think they're shaping a new way to see both of these guys. So we'll see. We'll see how what keeps going here. We'll see how things evolve. Let's move back. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's move back over with some cool beans. Let's get some cool beans going. Heavy Machinery versus Shorty G and Ali Mustafa Ali. I got used to calling him Ali, and now I'm not used to calling him Mustafa Ali again, and I should be happy because I never wanted him to call him just Ali in the first place. I should be the first person to be really thrilled about it. Versus the Loser House Party versus the Revival to determine the number one contenders for a title match at TLC versus the New Day for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. I liked this match a lot. I thought it was a lot of fun. Lucha House Party were the first out. Then Heavy Machinery, which was a bit of a surprise to me. And eventually the Revival got the win over Shorty G and Mustafa Ali. I loved Chad Gable and Mustafa Ali's German suplex with bridge with Ali flipping over into the matchbox cover. That was great. Gable's running senton off the apron was nuts, as was the Shatter Machine. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. A great match. I did not expect the Revival to win here. I really thought they were going to put Heavy Machinery over. We'll see what happens at TLC now, but I mean, New Day versus the Revival, you could do a lot worse. And Bad News Berg says Big E on commentary, he was fantastic. And you know what you want more of? What I realize you want more of Big E and Otis together. The tiniest bit of interaction that they had during the kerfuffle on the outside was just like, yeah, I mean, these are two guys who are primal, right? They're all about urges, whether it be hunger or more base impulses. They're basically cut from the same type of cloth. You kind of want more of that. I thought that was fantastic. You know what? CM Phil says that Big E was also fantastic on their podcast. I haven't listened to their podcast yet, and I should, because the New Day are fantastic. Never, ever, ever break up the New Day. There is much more good out of those three staying together than the opposite. I'm going to keep the cool beans running with Lacey Evans. By God! Cutting a good promo. And making me believe in her as a babyface. Could you believe that? I think it's a smart move regardless. If she's going to be on SmackDown, if she's going to be on SmackDown with two really, really strong and protected heels like Sasha and Bayley, SmackDown's going to need some strong baby faces. Now, I wouldn't say necessarily that the in-ring work is all the way there. However, she understands her character. She plays it well. And if she can do more earnest promos like she did on Friday, she's going to get the crowd over. She's going to get over with the crowd, is what I'm trying to say. And that should be that. I believe she can pull it off, because she had me believing there. I've been more interested in Lacey Evans at that moment right then and there than her entire call-up. Ever since even when she was doing the back and forth, the up and down from the ramp, regardless. I mean, I haven't been this interested in her at all, come to think of it, since she came up. So there you go. Robert Larry says, do you think that the WWE will give Lacey Evans the SmackDown Women's Championship? Not now. Not right now. I think it's smart to put her in a feud with Sasha. I've said this before and I'll say it again, and but I think it bears repeating, despite the fact that I might sound like an old broken record, but a handsome and charming broken record. Lacey will improve if she is put in matches with women who will be able to accompany her, who will be able to show her different styles and how to get herself over in the ring. She was called up too soon from NXT. She is one of those. You can put her in the same bag as Nia Jax. Just called up way too quickly for the level she was at. Mandy Rose. These are women that would have benefited a lot more having a little more time there and being put in matches with different styles of wrestlers so that they could hone themselves. So if Lacey is put in matches with Sasha, Sasha knows what she's doing in a ring. I think it's a great benefit to her. No knocking on Becky Lynch, but I don't think Becky is that type of wrestler. I don't think she has I don't think she has that much to give another wrestler in the ring, whereas we know Sasha is able to give quite a bit. So I think it's a smart feud to put her in. I think, any of these women could be championship material. Really. But are they going to give it to her just yet? Nah, not just yet. Andrew Thompson, how are you doing? Welcome, sir, to the evening. We're going to move out from some cool beans because I kind of think that y'all are expecting this. If I say I'm giving hot trash to one final thing on last Friday SmackDown, chat, what do you think it might be? What could these hot trash be right here? What do you think? What could it be? Bad News Berg says, doggy doo-doo. That is correct. Dog food. That is all correct, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what they did. I don't know why they did that. Enough people have talked about this over the week. About how stupid it was. This is the nuance I want to bring because we're all in agreement. It was trash. But it was good right up to the moment that they decided to start dumping Alpo on him. On Roman. When they started beating up on Roman, chaining him up around the post and having his arms pinned up like that, I thought it was a fantastic visual. And then Baron Corbin starts wailing into him, starts beating him up. I was like, do you think they're going to go and... I was actually on the edge of my seat a little bit going, do you think we might get some accidental bleeding here? That would have been a hell of a visual. And I was happy. And this is what stung the most, because I was happy that Baron Corbin was doing something literally vicious and underhanded and savage and cowardly. And it wasn't corny. Because Baron Corbin is King of the Ring, and he won King of the Ring on his own strengths, right? Didn't cheat, didn't pull off it. But then they switched him over, flipped him over to all the corny stuff, corny lines, the mascot and the dog barking and all of that stupid shit. And here I thought they were reverting him back to being a little more badass. But no, they had to pour dog food on him for some reason, and it didn't add anything. It took away from the seriousness of the moment, which was literally two guys beating up a vulnerable Roman Reigns. And it's so humiliating. He's having dog food poured on him. It was humiliating enough to be caught the way he was, completely unable to escape, and being beaten up by dudes. I thought it was amazing. But no, they had to go corny. They had to do some stupid bullshit like pulling out dog food. And it just bugs me. It bugs me because why would Roman Reigns positions himself as the locker room leader? Here's two things. First and foremost, if he's the locker room leader and everyone respects him so much backstage, how come no one came out to help him? Why did no one come out to help him? And you have a perfect situation here where you could create a story arc that runs parallel to this main one, Roman and Corbin. You could have Dolph Ziggler. You could have Chad Gable come out to try and save Roman, but he gets blindsided by Dolph Ziggler, and then you create another storyline here. You create another feud connected to the first one, but it's like an underlying arc. But you just use that as a catalyst to create another story just like that. So that's a missed opportunity, if you ask me. But he's supposed to be the locker room leader. To him, it's his yard. And he was telling us in his promo that, 2019 was a hard year. It was a difficult year for him, but it was also a beautiful year. Why would he concern himself with Baron Corbin pulling out Adobe After Effects, and fooling around with his dog animation and adding barks on him, and having a mascot come out with his merch on and feel offended by that? There's no reason for him to be offended by that. I expect Roman Reigns to be above that kind of playground shit. It shouldn't bother him. They should have used this moment to show just how serious Corbin is about taking over. But they didn't. And it feels out of place for Roman to be in that spot. Anywho, the thing is that I like SmackDown. I thought it was a good episode, SmackDown. And I thought Raw was a good episode this week as well. Despite the fact that it started with the contract signing. Now, when I saw the table set up, and instantly my hands fell over my face, and I started to fall over and melt. I was like, my God, this could not get, not only are we starting the show with this segment, but it is starting with the worst possible segment, a contract signing. Blech. It couldn't be worse. It could not be worse. Oh, wait. It can be worse. It was worse. Because it was a divorce contract signing. They started the show with the contract signing, the worst creative possible thing that they could do with the worst angle they have going right now. I was sitting on my couch. I see the tables and I'm like, oh no. And then Jerry Lawler starts talking about it's the divorce thing, and I shouted out, no! Oh. It was awful. The whole thing is awful. You saw it. Look, to anyone who's telling me, yeah, but Rusev is getting over. You know what? Rusev would get over with anything. And Rusev has the track record to prove that he can get over with anything. Why? Because he has that thing about him. Because he's able to connect to the audience. Because that night, he was leaning into the absurdity of the situation. Rusev gets over because Rusev is good. Just as simple as that. Could be any angle, anything at all. And now, did you guys hear? Lana's getting death threats? Did you hear about this? And the FBI is involved. They're investigating. And this is legit. This is not kayfabe. This is so stupid. So there you go. I'm just going to leave it as that, at that. And here's another thing. I'm going to keep on the hot trash. Choo-choo train. Matt Hardy. New father. Third child. Was born last week. They have him They have him 2 weeks ago. Remember? They have him come out, job out to a guy. They give him last week off so that when his son is born, but they have him come in. Like, oh, no, we need you this week on Raw this Monday to job out again. I mean, come on. Honestly, WWE is really, really weird. It's really strange. And I don't know if they're doing this just really because they're seeing the writing on the wall, and maybe Matt has made it clear that he's not re-signing and they just want to piss him off a bit. I don't know. But if he was involved in some kind of major storyline, I could understand. They had him come back, we need you on Monday. But they didn't need Matt Hardy to come out this Monday to job out. It could have been anyone. They could have put Eric Young in his place and wouldn't change a thing. Phil says the WWE doesn't believe in paternity leave, I guess. Well, they don't. Daniel says Matt Hardy deserves a win during TLC season. All right, but let's talk about some good stuff. We're going to talk about Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens and AOP. That was really good. That was really, really good. So Seth Rollins comes out and he says he wants to fight Authors of Pain because he doesn't quite understand what's going on. He's kind of mad that all of this that there's this innuendo that they're associated, and he's not going to stand for it. He's not going to stand for it, and he wants to fight Authors of Pain. Then that brings out Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens says, "You know what, Seth? You're not fooling me. I see what you're doing. I know the three of you are associated. You're not pulling the wool over my eyes. Yeah, I know they're coming out, and you are setting me up for a beatdown right now. So I'm gonna fight someone. So if AOP want to come out, they can come out right now, but I'm fighting someone. AOP don't come out. So he says, okay, Seth, well, I'm going to fight you. And Seth is like, look, I have nothing to do with this. And he buggers off, right? A little later on, Kevin Owens is walking around backstage. He picks up, he runs into Rey Mysterio, gives him his lead pipe. He gets back to the ring. He runs into, Mojo Rawley. And this leads to the oddest part of all this wonderful angle that they ran on Monday. They have Mojo Rawley come to the ring to sort of piss off, to get some measure of revenge on Kevin Owens because Kevin Owens slapped him backstage. But Sami Zayn comes out with them. Now, Sami Zayn, who's a SmackDown superstar, but he says he has a managerial license, which means now he can go between both brands. Man, WWE is unable to hang on to their brand split. They just can't. They seem completely and impossibly capable. They seem completely unable to commit to it. It's exactly like a 7-year-old kid where you come back from Halloween and you say you can have 3 candies, right? And he takes the 3, and then it's like, Dad, can I have another one? No, you can't. Can I have another one? No, you can't. Please, okay, you can have another one. It's exactly like that. Your WWE is the dad, and the kid is the brand split. For some reason, it's like, yeah, sure, okay, yeah, we tried for a good 4 weeks. Anyway, Mojo eats a stunner, and I don't know why they even did this segment. I don't know why they had Sammy there. Sammy didn't add anything, really. Could have been could have just had Mojo come out all by himself and cut his promo on his own, because Mojo can talk. That's not the problem with Mojo. He can talk. Anyway, Eventually, Kevin Owens goes backstage and finds the AOP's van, and he starts thrashing it with the lead pipe. He finally goes around the van. He's looking for whoever's inside. He opens the back. Then he gets ambushed by the AOP. Oh, there's a swivel chair in the back, right? There's a spinny chair in the back of the van. And there's someone sitting there. And the chair spins around. It is Seth Rollins. That son of a bitch. He was behind it all along. He was aligned with AOP. And then they beat the shit out of Kevin Owens. Seth stomps Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens dies. He sold that stomp like he literally got a cinder block dropped on him from 20 stories up. Kevin Owens is dead. Until I see him walking around again on a WWE show, to me, he's dead. He did a stretcher job, sure. He's dead. And then Seth cuts a promo out on the arena. I thought this was fantastic. It's what we want from Seth at this point. Seth is leaning into his Twitter persona, into his pent-up frustrations. And it's coming out with some class stuff. This is what we wanted. This is what we needed. Not another, I will overcome everything. I'm the architect, blah, blah, bloop, bloop. This is perfect. Kevin Owens comes across as a smart baby face. Not a dumb baby face where it's like, oh, Seth, well, if you say so, I believe you. No. It's as if Kevin Owens understands how wrestling has been working for the past 20, 25 years. And he was hip to what was going on. He actually watches wrestling outside, you know. He's like, no, I don't buy it. And he didn't buy it to the very end. So I think that's fantastic. Was it predictable? Yeah. But it was good. And sure, I like to be surprised with my wrestling, but this was the most logical outcome that we could have in this situation. That's what we needed. I didn't want to swerve. I didn't want someone else to be revealed because it probably would have been dumb. They went down the clear route. There weren't any swerves, and it was excellent nonetheless. I liked it. As Benoit in the chat says, it was me, Owens. It was me all along. CM Phil says, I would love it if someone wrote a list of all the times they said, it wasn't me, how dare you, except it was me, Angle. Andrew Thompson asks me, Warren, how do you think the crowd is going to react to Rollins on Monday? Raw is going to be in Iowa. Well, they'll probably be excited at first, but if Seth really leans into his babyface, his heel persona, he'll be able to switch that around on a dime. I have no problems with it. I'm pretty sure this is all going to be on his shoulders to make sure that he gets booed. And you know what? I think he's going to go for it because I think he's ready to lean into a heel persona here. Let's see. Some more hot trash from Raw that evening. The Street Profits SNL thing. That was bad. And we're going to give some final cool beans to the Kabuki Warriors versus Becky Lynch and everything that surrounded it. I really liked this match a lot. Thought it was a lot of fun. I liked how the Kabuki Warriors were really working together to get out of the pinning predicaments or out of the disarmor. Becky was overwhelmed. But ultimately, I liked how all of this weaved into the overarching story between Charlotte and Becky. How the past 2 weeks literally have become a situation where they realized that they had to work together if they wanted some comeuppance on the Kabuki Warriors because the Kabuki Warriors are being dicks to them. They it both ties, so both women on their own can do it. So to get some resolution, to get some finality to it, they have to work together despite the fact that they don't like each other. Charlotte was, she was saying, you want to be Becky Two Belts again? And Becky was like, I kind of don't want to work with you. I kind of don't like you, but yeah, okay. And you know what was great about this, ladies and gentlemen? You didn't need 20-minute promos to get this story over. It's mostly been told in the ring. It's mostly been told with past stories that you just have to tap on it so that it'll come gushing back. Don't need all this hours and upon hours of exposition. Plus, and this has been a criticism that I've been having for a long time, and I'm glad to be able to say the opposite. They're letting their women wrestlers feud about wrestling things. Not, oh, boyfriends, oh, I'm your best friend. No, they want titles. They want to fight people. They're being shit on by a couple of other wrestlers. Well, let's do something about it. Wrestlers being wrestlers. Can you believe that? Even if they're women. Blows your mind. I like it a lot. And we're getting this at TLC this weekend in a full-on table, ladders, and chairs match with 3 women who are able to turn it up. And we haven't even seen what Kairi Sane's able to do on Main yet. Woo. Benoit says, best tag team champion since the titles were introduced. Their booking helps them to make the titles matter. I concur. And Bad News Berg says, did they have a monitor in the training room or did they hear the challenge with the women's yelling down the hall? Yeah, for sure. And then on top of that, did they even hear when Charlotte was being blindsided by the Kabuki Warriors after coming out of the trainer's room with Becky? How did Becky not hear that? It's for sure. Trey Willer, welcome to the chat. Says, glad to be watching live for once. Have a prediction for the winners of each Royal Rumble. Early predictions, men's Kevin Owens and women's Rhea Ripley. Andrew says, Kairi and Asuka are hitting their stride right now. I think this ends with Becky beating Asuka at the Rumble. But the Kabuki Warriors needs to stay tag champions. I kind of concur with all of that. I think Asuka has this DQ win on Monday is the first time that the DQ win on Monday is the first time that Becky has defeated Asuka in any type of match. Every time that Asuka has been involved in a match against Becky, whether it be a Royal Rumble, a tag team match, or a singles match, Asuka has always won. This is a bit of a long-term story they've been telling here, that Asuka has Becky's number to a certain extent. And Asuka beat Becky at the Rumble last year, so why not full circle this bastard, right? Bad News Berg says, Lars Sullivan comes back and wins the men's Royal Rumble. Boo! Boo! And Aaron J's fan says, Asuka versus Charlotte versus Becky TLC match was good last year, so it should be good as well. Yes. It's clearly the match I'm looking forward the most to this weekend. Outside, and then Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black, which should be so hard hitting and wackadoo. I also like the main event, by the way. Should we talk about Dynamite a bit? Am I going long again tonight? Can you believe that? Can you believe that? I'm going long? Warren Hayes? Jeez. I'm going to give some warm soda to the John Moxley and Chris Jericho promo. I didn't hate it. Didn't think it was didn't think it was great either. I thought it was very, very average, and I'm going to give them a benefit. Still, I'm not going to start dumping on stuff right now, but AEW had something special since it started, because it always started with the match, and they've consistently been positioning themselves as being different than WWE, the alternative. The best way to be an alternative is to not do what the competition's doing. So if you're starting a match with, if you're starting your show with a segment, which is exactly what WWE does, well, you're not that much of an alternative, are you? That being said, the promo was fine. It establishes a little more context to this feud. I like the idea that Chris Jericho, wants Jon Moxley to be in the inner circle, not necessarily because he wants him in the inner circle, but because he's afraid. I think that's the underlying thing. He doesn't want to fight Jon Moxley. He really doesn't. And Jericho has established, like last week, you'll remember in his promo, he said, the powers that be here in AEW want me to defend the titles one last time this year. You remember when he said that? So he's not in control. He's not in control of what he can do in AEW. So he can't just pull out of the match. He has to do something about it. So the only way that he can avoid the match is if he seduces Jon Moxley to join him. And I like the promo. I just thought it was very tepid, especially when you have two great mic workers like Mox and Jericho there, but I know that wasn't the point. However, if we're talking about promos and a promo that worked, hot damn, we are going to talk about MJF's a killer promo that he did. It was so good. It was so good. He says, you don't throw rocks at a man with a machine gun. Talking about him with a microphone in his hand. He referred to Cody saying, I don't need your money. Thank you for your offer, but I don't need your money. I want you to suffer. He makes fun of Cody's lisp, which I thought was pretty good because it's not something that people bring up. I liked it. And he said that he accepts to fight him, but there's going to be stipulations, and he's going to announce those stipulations in Jacksonville. And look, MJF is a star. He is probably one of the top reasons why any of us should be watching AEW. He is so good, and he is so young, and he is only going to be better. He is going to improve. That's what's nuts about this. He is going to grow as a performer, and we are going to see it before our very eyes. We are going to watch the evolution of MJF, and I am all here for it for the next 20, 25 years of his career. Longer if he can. Stay healthy, MJF, because the wrestling world deserves you. We kind of need you. He is a bona fide star. I liked his promo so much. It was so good. If I'm being nitpicky, I would have waited a little bit before throwing the towel in, and saying, yeah, Cody, I'll fight you. I would have had Cody sweat it a little more. He said it himself in his promo, I want you to suffer. I don't want to fight you. I want you to suffer. So that he should have come out and just turned him down. Nope, no thank you. Stretch it out a couple of more weeks until eventually he does Cody a favor kind of thing. That would have been really, really good. Look, it was a fantastic promo, and I'm looking forward to how this one develops. I'm just being nitpicky. I would have waited a little bit. That's just me. I am going to give more cool beans. Let's keep that up here. To the Bucks versus Santana and Ortiz. There's a lot of things in this match that didn't make sense. Like I think it was Ortiz on all fours with the chair right in his head, waiting to be super kicked. Not being held back or anything, just waiting on all fours with the chair against his head, waiting to be super kicked for a good 5 to 7 seconds. Having a trash can be put over his body while the Young Bucks go do flippy stuff off the top turnbuckle. There's some stuff like that requires your suspension of disbelief. And it's the kind of match that I completely understand why some folks really don't like the Young Bucks. And yes, the senton off the stage setup through the table is a match ender. But no, the match continued after that. So, to me, there's a bubble that exists, and it's called a Young Bucks match. And they're like parallel universes. And you either buy into them or you don't. And I buy into them. It's fun. And I'm okay with fun. And I will tell you, I like the Bucks better when they're having more typical wrestling matches. Like the match they had with Private Party a couple of weeks ago, which in my opinion, to this day right now, is still the best match that has happened on AEW Dynamite so far. That match was great. And it wasn't chock full of nonsense. It was just fantastic stuff. But the match was wild. It started wild early and was wild the whole way through. I liked it. It was fun. It was a great way to end it. Let's go a little faster here. We're going to give hot trash to the Nightmare Collective. It's not working. It's overproduced and it's weird and it's clashing with the Dark Order and there's too many weird goth groups and it's not working. I'm really excited to see how this translates into the ring, but I don't dig it and it's overproduced and it's a little cringe, to be perfectly honest. We're going to get some cool beans to Big Swole, though. The match she had with Emi Sakura was a showcase match for all her talents. Her athletic ability, her strikes. My friends, by God, that woman can strike. Beautiful stuff. Her forearms, her lariats, her kicks, everything is beautiful. And she even showed some variety in the ring, that she's able to pull out the sports entertainment when she, when Emi Sakura did the stupid abdominal stretch with the microphone stand, which is, I don't like it. I think it's a little too contrived for my taste. But then she being Big Swole, she takes it and does the James Brown splits and moves, and I was like, wow, okay. Just a little something just to show that she has the chops to be a well-rounded sports entertainer. And I'm down with that. She is golden. She is going to be so important to their women's division. It is bananas. And I'm glad they gave her this match. And I hope they give us a break of it from Emi Sakura for a couple of weeks. No disrespect. I need a breather. I need some time off from Emi. This was really, really good. And we're going to keep some cool beans here for Angel Garza becoming NXT Cruiserweight Champion by defeating Lio Rush. Angel Garza is so good. He is so good. Do you guys realize that he is Humberto Carrillo's cousin? They're in the same family. You should check that match out. Best match of the week, right there. Garza versus Rush was phenomenal stuff. Go seek that out. You won't be disappointed. Just like you probably won't be disappointed when we wrap up the weekly wrestling inspection. CM Phil says Swole will be champion. Quote me. Phil, you are absolutely right, but that is not a stretch. She's so good. Trey Willer says super excited for Bucks versus SC. Excuse me, versus SCU. But I want a Santana and Ortiz reign ASAP. I don't think they're done with Santana and Ortiz in that top tier position right now. Bad News Burke mentions the commentary botches last night on AEW. Just since we're talking about it, and I'm not going to pull out the labels here necessarily, but I'm going to tell you one thing. Commentary was exposed last night at one specific moment. That is when Chris Jericho and Jake Hager, who was looking around for young teenage eco-activist girls, when they came out and pushed Shivani and Excalibur out of commentary and were left there with JR, commentary was exposed right there. No one was calling the match. JR doesn't call the matches. I'm sure all of you noticed. Excalibur does the heavy lifting on commentary. JR provides some insight. He's a color guy. He's the most expensive color guy of all time, but that's what he does. But with JR gone, with Excalibur gone, Shivani gone, Chris Jericho and JR were basically there just giving color on the match that was happening. I'll just leave it at that. Guys and gals, if you haven't already, give this video a thumbs up on the YouTube. If you haven't left a review or a like or a follow on your podcast application, please do. That helps a lot. And don't forget, after this, over on Patreon, going to be talking about New Japan on Warren is Off the Clock number 10 this week, the 10th edition already. Patreon.com/MrWarrenHayes. Hope to see you there. We got people being inducted into the World Wrestling Entertainment Hall of Fame. You heard about this? Batista is going to be an inductee, a top tier main attraction. I think it's fantastic. It's a smart move for WWE to do it when his star is clearly on the rise. He's a big time movie star right now. He's really well liked. Batista comes across as a really good dude, just very, very down to earth and level headed. I like his personality. What he transmits as a Hollywood star is cool. I like it. Plus, he's Drax. Drax is awesome. Drax is funny. So that's great that he's being inducted. NWO is being inducted as well. I talked about this on the Patreon this week. So if you're a Patreon listening to this right now, you got a preview of what I'm going to talk about tonight. Look, it's undeniable that you have to put the NWO in your Hall of Fame. If you're running a Hall of Fame anywhere in the world, a Wrestling Hall of Fame, wherever you are, Dumpstertown, Illinois, or Hicksville, Virginia, and you have a Hall of Fame and the NWO is not in it, what the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing? No, really, what the hell are you doing? Put the NWO in there. I feel they could have taken a break. I want to say hello to Everything Pro Wrestling. Conrad, how you doing? Welcome to the show. They could have taken a break this year from inducting another stable in the group category, especially one which is so very close to DX, intertwined. DX being a response to the NWO. It's the group category includes tag teams, and there's tag teams that still aren't in the Hall of Fame. It just boggles my mind that they're not. The British Bulldogs are not in there. The Steiner brothers aren't in there. And I understand that Scott Steiner is persona non grata in WWE. I get it. I do. But still, the Steiner brothers are not in your Hall of Fame. It's a bit weird. Demolition's not in there either. But then again, that there's reasons for that. The concussion lawsuit, they were a part of that. So WWE is not gonna live that down easily. But still, I mean, these are very important tag teams. They could have given us just a breather. They could have given us just a breather. And the members of the NWO being inducted are a little strange. If only because they're inducting Sean Waltman, X-Pac, 6, 1, 2, 3 Kid. It's all the same guy. If only because they're adding Sean Waltman in there. Not because Sean Waltman doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. He already is. That's not the point. Sean Waltman was essentially the 6th member of the NWO. The first two being the first 3, right? Hogan and the Outsiders, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. That's fine. But then you also had, after that, they added Ted DiBiase, right? And Ted DiBiase was Trillionaire Ted. You remember that? He was basically the money man. He was the mouthpiece, but also the money man. And in story, he was the guy who had all the cash that was going to fund the NWO, who wanted to be a separate promotion, remember? So it made sense to add him in there. Plus the giant Paul White was in there. Big Show. He was one of the first 5 members as well. So it's weird that they're not adding DiBiase and Show in here. So why stop at Waltman? Why not add Eric Bischoff then at that point? Because Bischoff became indissociable from the NWO at some point. You know, it was revealed that he was working for the NWO all along from the inside. He was a mole kind of thing. So why not keep adding people? So it's kind of weird. But then again, they're probably going to give Big Show his own entry. That's probably why he's not there. And I'm okay with that because Big Show deserves to have his own singles entry into the Hall of Fame. And yes, like Bad News Berg says in the chat, Vincent was he was part of the original core group as well. He was the jabroni, the guy who went out first to get it. He was the frontline man, got his ass whooped for the rest of the team. But he served as the distraction. He was the patsy, essentially. But why isn't he added in here? Well, he's never going to be added now because he's Soul Train Jones now. But, that's the thing. But what I find most insidious here is that I kind of see that this is all part of the reintroduction of Hulk Hogan to the WWE universe. I think Hulk Hogan is getting a redemption story that he doesn't deserve. He was reinstated in 2018, right? Remember? He was reinstated last year. And since then, WWE has been very, very choice in the moments that they've been bringing him back. Popped him up on TV a couple of times, WrestleMania, didn't get the reactions quite that he wanted, spread a lot of controversy online, a lot of mainstream media also picked up on it, saying, Hulk Hogan, back in WWE, oh, by the way, he's a racist. He started on this path of reconciliation, apparently, allegedly. A lot of people were very skeptical about it. The New Day, Mark Henry, and if those guys aren't convinced, you're not convincing the boy Warren much either. They have him pop up very, very choice moments in Saudi Arabia, right? That's where he's been around the most, really. I don't want to speak ill of the situation, but I do believe there was something very calculated in him being the guy who eulogizes, Gene Okerlund to the fans on TV. I think there's something that was part of that as well. Sure, I will acquiesce that it made perfect sense that it be Hogan to say some final words on behalf of WWE to Okerlund, because they were very intertwined. But there's arguments that you could have made for Ric Flair as well. But it's not something that came out of complete left field. It made complete sense. Yet you cannot but not see something very calculated nonetheless, especially when you consider that now there are rumors that he's going to have a match at WrestleMania this year. Rumors that there's a biopic being produced on his life, his early life, mind you. And you know who's portraying Hulk Hogan in this biopic? Chris Hemsworth. Very well liked. A guy who has lots of goodwill from fans. People like Chris Hemsworth. Good guy Chris. You know who's writing and directing this movie? Todd Phillips and Scott Silver. You know what these guys did recently that worked out really, really well for them? Joker. They did the Joker movie. So two guys who are sought after, hot writer-director combo doing this movie on Hulk Hogan with a sought-after, a fan favorite star. And you're telling me that there's a WrestleMania match on the outlook, and you had him come back again at for the Saudi Arabia show, popping up on TV and stuff. You don't think all of this, the NWO being inducted, re-inducting Hulk Hogan for a second time to make sure in the consciousness of everyone that, yes, he is indeed a part of the Hall of Fame twice, 2 times over? I do see something very, very mechanical and well thought out. WWE sometimes with its PR situations, they drop the ball. The ACH stuff was a complete disaster. But when they have a narrative that they want to control, that they have complete control over and they want to guide, they know exactly what they're doing. And every step they have taken with Hulk Hogan so far is leading us to this moment. I will not be surprised if in April we find out that the biopic is just about to be released on Netflix. I swear. Let's revisit this next year. And I see something I see an undercurrent here. Maybe it's a little tinfoil hat on my part. But honestly, this is a redemption story. This is Hulk Hogan making sure that his legacy ends on the note he wants it to end. He wants to have one final cleansing match where he can leave his head up high and people were like, well, you know, at least the last year he was there, he had his match and he didn't do anything stupid and the racism wasn't all that prevalent. This is a guy who wants to make sure that when it's time to hang up and WWE has to do his video packages when he dies, the last thing that we can talk about is not the racism. It's something else, something a little more positive, something that he was able to go full circle with everything. And this is why, folks, something I've said in the past, and I'll take the advantage to say it again. It is essential, crucial, that WWE is not left in the position to be the historians of professional wrestling. Because they will and have and will continue to shape history to fit their narrative. You would oftentimes think that outside of Lita and Trish, and now China since last year, there wasn't much, there weren't any other women to spur on change. There was Fabulous Moolah, then nothing. Trish, Lita, and China, And then the Women's Evolution, when we damn well know that that's not the situation. And there's tons of other examples like that. There you go. But now let's have some fun. Let's have some fun to wrap this up. I don't know how quickly I can do it. Let's see how we can do. Let's see what we can do. Earlier today, I went on Twitter. And okay, let me start over. We're going to play a game this evening. There's been people from WWE who have been released from their contracts for the first time in a long time. Like, just WWE saying, future endeavoring them, thank you very much for your time, move on to other stuff. And this is where we are right now. So of course, what happens then when you have free agents out there in the wild? What happens, folks? What happens to people? And the question is, are they going to end up in AEW, or are you going to end up in AEW? So that's what we're going to be playing tonight. We're going to be playing, will they go to AEW? So I picked out 5 people total. 4 acts, there you go, who have been released from their contracts from their company, or have heavy rumors that they're moving on. And we're going to have a little fun. We're going to speculate. We're just going to talk and go goofy. And Chad, I want you in on this. I want you to chime in and have a little fun with me as we go along here, as we try to figure out who will go to AEW. And earlier today, I went out on Twitter and I asked my timeline who they thought would go to AEW and who wouldn't, or what their chances were. And we are going to take a look at this right now. And we are going to start with the very first inductee into this game here. We're going to talk about Luke Harper. And we're going to do some pros and cons here. Pros and cons. Should Luke Harper go to AEW? Folks in the chat, start dropping your speculation. Should he go? Is it a good idea? Should we? Yeah, and yes, bad news, Burke. Just we're going to talk about AEW. That's the thing, because that's what all the fans are asking. That's what we're asking. AEW. Pros and cons for Luke Harper going to AEW. First of all, if he were to, I think the main pro for Luke Harper going to AEW is that he would stand out. He would stand out from everyone on the roster. He's tall. He's a tall guy. He's 6'5". In WWE, not necessarily the tallest guy, but in AEW, it's a different story. Look, the biggest guys they have, like Jake Hager is 6'7", which gives him all the height he needs to look for teenage girls to intimidate. Luchasaurus, I think, is their tallest at 6'9". Wardlow, aligned recently with MJF, who is very beefy and looks extremely imposing and strong. He's 6'2". Luke Harper is 6'5". Hell, look, their top guys, Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, they're 6 foot even. I'm taller than Kenny Omega, guys. John Moxley is 6'2". I mean, their top guys aren't even that tall. So right then and there, you have Luke Harper, who'd come in just by his size, would be extremely imposing. He would stand over just about everyone on the roster, and that's something I still think AEW is lacking. They need the bigger guys. Not that I want necessarily huge roided up guys all the time, but they could use some different body shapes, is what I'm saying. He's a fantastic brawler, and they don't have a lot of. They have a couple of course they have Moxley, who is king brawler right now in AEW, but they don't have a lot of guys who can pull off a really convincing, really good brawl. And, they have a lot of acrobatic dudes who rely on their quickness, agility. Luke Harper brings another skill set. And he's a great tag team wrestler. It's the land of tag teams. If they wanted to put him up in a tag team with another guy, it'd be fantastic. The main con that I have regarding AEW right now is that I'm not sure where he'd fall in regards to a push. I don't know where he'd end up on the card. I don't think he's an instant tippy-top guy. And besides, they have enough of those. As rich as their mid-card is, AEW, they need to diversify it. And they're doing a good job with the people they already have. Shawn Spears, Joey Janela, they're doing a great job. Darby Allin, they're putting him back into the mix with his apparent alliance with Cody. Dustin Rhodes is there. They've got a really decent mid-card. What kind of impact really can he have there while they're currently building some stars here? And it's not even a con on him. It's just I don't know if AEW would know what to do with them really, because they are building their own guys right now. If you were to ask me, and I see it in the chat a little bit, I think he would do fantastically in the NWA. I really do. He'd be the perfect fit. Perfect fit. Tall guy, bushy looking, it looks like he's been around the block a couple of times. Looks like he'd just be ready to fight anyone for looking at him cross-eyed. NWA would be a perfect home for him, if you ask me. So there you go. That's what I would. So Luke Harper, would he go to AEW? According to me, probably not. Probably not. Let's see what folks in the chat are saying here. Run through. There we go. Bad News Burke says New Japan for sure. That would actually be not a bad idea. Him and Archer. That'd be fun. CM Phil says he should go to NWA Fight Me. Daniel says Harper versus Luchasaurus is a money match. That would be really good. Evangelina says NWA in Japan is my guess as well. Trey Willard says, I think AEW would benefit with more 6'5 people. From 6'5, more 6'5. I'd benefit from being able to talk. Aaron Jace fan says he'd be perfect in AEW. And look who jumped in. Kelsey. She says, ho, ho, ho. Didn't know ghosts could wear Santa hats. It was fun. I'm glad you stopped by, Kelsey. See you later. Jason PS3, how you doing? And Conrad says Luke has the most value of the releases. Well, let's talk about another release. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss another release. Let's talk next about wait, there we go. Sin Cara. Should Sin Cara go to AEW, folks? Of course, Sin Cara, we're talking about Hunico, who is the second Sin Cara. Mystico has been long gone at this point. The pros. Let's start with the pros. What are the pros that he can go for him to go to AEW? Well, first and foremost, he can dump the Sin Cara name. A lot of people have been saying, well, Sin Cara can come back in WWE at any time. I don't know why they would bring back anyone under a Sin Cara mask, because that gimmick is spent. It's burned. Yeah, I don't know why you'd put anyone there. Dump him. Get rid of him. But yes, I mean, he can take off the mask or don another mask. He can take on any personality he wants. So he could go. He could go anywhere. He could go to AEW and be someone else. He could be Hunico, just as simple as that. That would be the major pro. The con, well, he's not that good. He's just not. And I don't know if it's just a question that he hasn't been motivated, that over the past few months he's been ignored and hasn't been doing anything. Hunico Sin Cara wasn't great. It wasn't great. And there's a whole bunch of circumstances in regards to that. And they have lucha style dudes in AEW that are much better workers than he is, and just the Lucha Bros in and about themselves. Evans and Angelico. I mean, I don't know. I don't see if there's any room for them. Plus, they have their association with AAA, which can feed them. They can feed AEW with all sorts of talent if they want. So that's not even a problem as well. You know what I think? I think he should go to CMLL. CMLL recently got rid of Roosh, got rid of Dragon Lee. A couple of big names that were lost there. I think he'd be fine doing more lucha style over there. But and this is Sean Ross Sapp, and I can't take credit for this, but it's a good enough theory that I'm going to repeat it and give him full credit. Sean Ross Sapp says that he could see him in MMA. Apparently Sin Cara has a backstage reputation of, he's ready to fight anyone. He's looking to pick fights. He's got a temper and he likes to fight. And apparently it has been thrown around that he'd like to do MMA. And Combate, who is the South American promotion, or the Mexican promotion, I think, that did the Tito Ortiz Del Rio fight past weekend, they're a pretty big promotion. And that show this weekend, despite the fact that it was a complete trash match, Ortiz versus Del Rio, did fantastic numbers for them. So they could be a little more inclined to do these trash fire matches with former wrestlers just to give them a little more exposure. And why wouldn't Sin Cara do it? It's a payday, and it's a good payday. It's a better payday than wrestling. It's probably a better payday getting your ass kicked for 3 minutes in an MMA ring than a month on the road with WWE. Probably. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. But I think MMA would be in the cards. I'm going to say hi to Chris Jacobs, who jumped into the chat. How you doing? Aaron J. Sven says, Sin Cara in the cage with Del Rio, even though it is a different person under the mask. That'd be pretty funny. All right, next theory here. We're going to move on to the Ascension. They were released. A lot of people don't remember the Ascension from NXT. They really don't. I do. Longest reigning NXT Tag Team Champions. They were dominant. They were the AOP before there was an AOP in NXT. Should they go to AEW? Pros. Tag team wrestling is the cornerstone of AEW. It's what makes AEW AEW. That is really where they differentiate themselves from any other promotion in the galaxy right now. So why wouldn't they want to be a part of that? I think it's great. And, we haven't seen the guys wrestle in so long. It's hard to say if they're, they still have it. They don't. We haven't seen them wrestle in such a long time. But they're ready and they're hungry and they want to make it happen. I'd go for it. That's where I'd want to end up. If I was a tag team and I had been neglected by my employer for months and months, and they never really had their foot out the door. I remember their call-up. When we're going to talk about the bungled history of NXT call-ups, and we're going to talk about Bayley, for instance, we're going to talk about Sami Zayn, how they messed those up. We have to talk about the Ascension because they came up and they started cutting promos on how they were better than the Legion of Doom, how they were better than Demolition. And then they'd do matches, and then commentary would bury them, saying, these guys aren't as good. What are they talking about? So, I mean, they right out the gate, they didn't stand a chance. It was stupid. The cons here is that, well, that's part of the cons, is that we don't remember if they're good or not. Then again, you know, the AEW crowd didn't know who the Butcher and the Blade were. That didn't prevent them from being signed. But do we have, are the Ascension, can the Ascension be treated seriously? Can we consider them seriously? Because I think they've been through some character assassination. So I don't think that they have a value to a top tier promotion right now. However, if I were them, I would hit the indie circuit, and I would hit it hard. There would be nothing better for them to hit the indie circuit. I don't know if they can do the Ascension gimmick or not. That's not the point. But as a tag team, going out there, going to top tier indie promotions. Let's say you hit Warrior Wrestling, you hit Bar Wrestling, you go to GCW, and you get Brian Gage to bleed you out a few times. Build up their cred that way. Reestablish themselves. Have people rediscover who they are. Rebuild their brand. Create some value. Then maybe approach AEW with this. You know, they probably even have a home in NWA. NWA could benefit from having these guys here as, you know, a Road Warriors type. And, you know, right now, the tag team division is pretty thin outside of the wild card. Outside of the wild cards, they have Rock and Roll Express. All right, you know, that's a one-time thing. You know that that's not going to last. They have the Dawsons, which I'm not sold on, and Eddie Kingston and Homicide, who are really, really good. So, I mean, the tag team division could use a little shot in the arm. These guys, they come out with their, you know, looking like this. Looking like a new version of the old version of the Road Warriors, but without calling it out as such. It'd be fantastic. Jason PS3 says NWA for the Ascension, so does Benoit. Aaron Jace fan says, so they would go as a team, yeah, NWA or Impact. Impact could make good use of them. That's a good point. Impact could make a good use of them as well. And they're not too worried about picking up WWE cast-offs. Bad News Burke says, I don't think Victor would latch on to single, but maybe Connor could. Connor was actually a singles guy in NXT before he got paired up with Victor. My memory's foggy, but I'm pretty sure Connor even fought for the NXT championship. It was either against Bo Dallas or Neville. I can't quite remember. But he was a single star in NXT. And Daniel says Ascension to Impact Wrestling is a consideration, but their goal should be AEW tag division. I mean, if you're a tag team these days and you want to work for the top promotions, you want to go to AEW. And finally, we're going to talk about one last guy, not a WWE guy, and his release hasn't been confirmed. We're going to talk about Marty Scurll. Because there's a lot of talk going around. Scurll's contract is up. Scurll's done with the ROH. He's moving on. Will Marty Scurll go to AEW, folks? Whoop, whoop. That's right, D-Generation MC. Whoop, whoop. I say he joins. He has to join AEW, and he has to join the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny so that they can be the Butcher, the Blade, the Bunny, and the Beak. You keep that alliteration going. Look, what can we say about Marty Scurll? The pros for him joining AEW. My God, he's friends with the elite guys. They're buddies. He's a great talent on top of that. He's very charismatic. The cons to me, though, this is what I'm thinking. These generations say all his friends are dead. They're not dead for real. Here's the thing. Does AEW need Marty Scurll right now? And this, I want you guys to think. I want you guys to take a minute and detach yourselves of the idea of all these boys, all these friends being back together. Just take a step back. Does AEW need Marty Scurll right now? And when you just take a moment to think about it, what does he bring to the table that is currently vacant in the current setup of AEW? And I'm not quite sure what it is. This is not a knock on Marty, because I think he's fantastic. I think he's really, really good. His matches are, I'm 50-50 on him, but overall I really dig Marty as a performer. Do you think, and again, I'm asking you guys this is just stuff to think about. Do you think Marty wants to be a third-tier player again despite being with his buddies? Because he's not going to be bigger than Kenny. He's not going to be bigger than Cody. He's not going to be bigger than the Bucks either. Not to make a bird joke, but maybe he does feel a little pigeonholed in where he is, in his position in the elite. Does he feel like he can really rise? They tried to make Adam Page rise above his station, if you want to say it that way. You know, I'm exaggerating a bit, but how do we elevate Marty Scurll in the current context of AEW? There's a lot of guys right now that are jockeying for positions. It's a 2-hour weekly show. I compare the Marty Scurll situation to the NWO back in the mid-90s. When WCW was poaching people from the WWE, the WWF back then. They were just taking people away. They took Nash, they took Hall, and they exploded in WCW. They took 1-2-3 Kid, turned him into X-Pac. With the money, the salary on top of that, the reduced dates, the whole thing. Now, we knew at that point, we all heard about the Clique, where you had Triple H, who had not become Triple H, and Shawn Michaels. These were all best buddies. They were friends. In that context, would it have not made sense for Shawn Michaels to go join his buddies? And that's kind of what everyone was thinking was going to happen too. Shawn Michaels, biggest star, arguably biggest star in WWF back then. Why wouldn't he pack up and leave? Go join his friends, gravy train, money, reduced dates, so on and so forth. No, he's stuck around. Because, in a sense, he saw what was happening, saw the writing on the wall, wondered what place he could have there, because everything was already so stacked. I'm not saying that I'm entirely in Marty Scurll's head. But you're still in a place of business. This is still business. And wrestling is a tough business to crack. Get over and get your stuff over. If Shawn Michaels did the unthinkable and decided to not go join his buddies for the sweet, sweet shores of WCW, why is it such a given that Marty Scurll would do it. And this is food for thought. Because I think there's a lot of people who consider this a done deal. With the young bucks trolling about it, with Matt holding his iPhone and where can I find a villain and stuff like that, The young bucks are perfect. They love to troll the fans like that. If I'm Marty Scurll, I am weighing all the options. Do I stick to Ring of Honor? Hell no! And get the hell out of that place. Ring of Honor's a dead end. My girlfriend, though, she's in NXT. Maybe I could go over there. If NXT was still on NXT WWE Network, was still on the WWE Network, I would think that Marty Scurll would happily go there because eventually the call-ups happen and there's a cycle that happens in NXT, and then people who were not in top positions get shifted over because the top guys and girls are moving on to main roster. But now it's not call-ups anymore. Everything's lateral, or at least, we don't know how they're going to deal with it. Not sure NXT is a natural calling for Marty. AEW makes a lot of sense. Don't get me wrong. But I would not set aside New Japan going back for Marty and making him one of the cornerstones of New Japan of America. Because let's not forget that thing's coming up. They've announced shows in January, right after Wrestle Kingdom. They have the money. They've worked with Marty before. All I'm saying, and I don't have any insider information. This is not me trying to be sneaky about some stuff that I may or may not know. I don't know anything about Marty Scurll. I don't even know if his contract really is up or if he's re-signed anywhere. I don't know. All I'm saying is that maybe, just maybe, AEW isn't the given that everyone thinks it is. I think we're thinking with our hearts, with our passions. And that's normal. We're wrestling fans. We feel passionate about wrestling. And that's normal. I just don't think it's that much of a given that he's going to instantly head up to AEW. So ultimately, in the 4 acts that I proposed here, who's going to AEW? I don't know, none of them, if you ask me. I don't. Maybe, honestly, Marty Scurll is the one that does make the most sense, but I'm not even sure. Yeah, that got the chat going, didn't it? Iron Jace fan says ROH needs Marty more, but Marty should and will go to AEW because ROH has no stability. Yeah, that for sure, we are in complete agreement. ROH needs Marty Scurll more than Marty Scurll needs ROH. That is a given. Let's see here. CM Phils has a good point. He says if Marty comes, they have to establish a mid-card title. That's not a bad point. That's a very good point, actually. Degeneration MC says if Paige can rise in AEW, I think Marty definitely can. Just turn them against the Elite and be their own characters. It's not a bad point. Because I do think Adam Page is on the cusp of a heel turn. With the match they had last night. Sure, bring Marty in and start a villainous cowboy enterprises. How about that? That's actually a good, that creatively it works to me. It works for me. Let's see here. Conrad says Marty is the hottest free agent right now. I do have this weird idea of Marty Scurll winning NXT UK title or NXT North American title. Yeah, I wouldn't entirely rule that out for sure. Does Marty need to start or be part of a faction? I don't think so. I think he has the name value to pull it off on his own. But I think the Villain Enterprises thing got over huge. He'd be silly boy not to work that over. This is the longest episode of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show of all time. And you were here for it, folks. You stuck through. You listened to the very end. You made the chat feel alive tonight. Like a living creature of blood and guts. And I'm not done yet. I'm not done streaming. I'm going to head on over to Patreon next. Patreon.com/MrWarrenHayes. I'm going to talk about New Japan. I feel my voice is going away because I got excited tonight. But we're going to do that some more. So, reminder, tomorrow evening, whether the YouTube channel is back or not, Friday night SmackDown post-show over with Sean Ross Sapp over on Fightful. That is a thing that is going to happen. Saturday morning, prediction show for TLC, 11 a.m. right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. My voice is really going. With Patricia of the Those Wrestling Girls podcast. My voice sounds like shit. Oh, sorry, folks. So that'll be that. And then Sunday over on the Bell to Bells podcast, we're launching our very first podcast over on Bell to Bells, the In-Ring Riot, a goddamn women's wrestling podcast with Kristen Ashley and Dan and Emily Reed, founders, promoters of Pro Wrestling Eve. You don't want to miss that. It's going to be a blast. Plus, the Tories were reelected in Britain. I think Dan is pissed. He's going to have a lot to talk about on Sunday. It's going to be a good time. Folks, want to thank you all so much for joining me live, listening to your convenience. It was a great, great moment. Thank you all so very, very much. And I will see you next time.